At a time when a high school education is so often woefully inadequate for success in a global, interconnected world, where old-time manufacturing skills have given way to computerized everything, and where millions of employers are frustrated because they're unable to find people with the proper training to do the jobs they have open, Republican Governor Scott Walker of Wisconsin continues to slash support for the formerly wonderful state universities in Wisconsin. Rick Snyder, Republican Governor of Michigan, headed the drive to allow the state to take control of any municipal government in Michigan that the geniuses in Lansing deemed was in financial distress. The sanctity of the municipal voting ballot be damned. That led inexorably to the poisoning of the children in Flint, Michigan due to the diabolical economic decision to change the source of the drinking water for that city. Instead of the safe Great Lakes water they had used for a century, the Lansing-imposed Flint dictator decided to provide water from the Flint River, water which is corrosive, and that resulted in the city drinking water becoming laced with lead. Nobody knows the human toll or the financial cost that ingestion of lead will exact over the long term, but it will be enormous. Snyder and his Republican legislature in Lansing are doing a tap dance around accountability, and as of this moment, they are still dragging feet on fixing their mess. Meanwhile, the residents of Flint are trapped in a water quality disaster and an economic squeeze of Rick Snyder's doing. Sam Brownback, Republican of Kansas, promised Kansans that if they elected him governor, that he would slash taxes, and that would magically result in increased revenue for the state because of the dramatic economic expansion that lower taxes would induce. So they elected him governor. Instead of the results he promised, his plan resulted in way lower revenue for the now nearly bankrupt state and a depressed economy across Kansas. Who might have even guessed that reducing the state's income might reduce the state's income? Bobby Jindal is the Republican governor of Louisiana. His state is a financial disaster. It is ranked the worst in the nation in educating its children. There's lots more, and none of it is pretty. Let's just move on. Governor Rick Scott, Republican of Florida, is the titular head of the state with more real estate in peril as the oceans rise than anywhere else. The streets of Miami Beach are often underwater, and much of South Florida is at or only slightly above sea level, so it doesn't take much of a wave or much of a rise in sea level to flood it. And Rick Scott, a former fossil fuel homie, denies global warming and the human imprint on it, so he does nothing. And of course, right here in Illinois, where we have a bottomless pension debt, our governor is so out of touch that we'll call him Bruce Rauner, Republican from Pluto. He hasn't offered a thing to fix the pension crisis, and he continues to govern by refusing every attempt to establish a budget. Yes, that's right. Illinois has been operating without a budget for well over a year. And Governor Rauner seems to think in the way of Ted Cruz, that if we just shut down the functions of government, that somehow all the best things will happen. That hasn't worked out too well for Illinois college students, as threats of shutdown of entire institutions were imminent. Nor did it work out for our mentally ill who, because of the governor's draconian methods, were not even getting their meds. Let the games of the rich continue, because they aren't affected by their restrictive policies, even as those who are most needy continue to suffer. These are the DS of A, the disaster states of America, although not all of them. The Republican leaders in these states proudly and self-righteously thumb their noses at our bloated federal government and the overtaxation of the public, yet oddly, as they fail their states or their states face crises like Hurricane Sandy in New Jersey, they expect the federal government to bail them out of their catastrophes. Either that or they just do more of what doesn't work and declare victory. How are you feeling about that? Keep that in mind as you vote for your state's legislators on November 8th. I'm Jack Altshuler.